begins with fog. Not the kind that creeps in slowly, but a thick, unnatural curtain that swallows everything in an instant. In the recovered footage, you hear the buzz of a drone's rotor slicing through dense air. See tree branches flicker in and out of frame like ghost limbs. And then, just before the signal cuts, a figure, barely visible, motionless, standing where no one should be. That was the last visual record of Ryan and Hailey Whitaker. The footage was retrieved 2 weeks after they missed their return flight. French search teams found the drone lodged 20 feet up in a tree near the Col de la Cour, a remote mountain pass in the French Pyrenees. The drone's body was cracked, but the SD card inside was intact. When investigators played it back, they expected a crash or maybe storm footage. What they got was something far more troubling. Mist-drenched trees, erratic altitude shifts, and a final frame that no one could explain. Even after careful analysis, no one can say for certain what they're looking at. Just that the couple never came back. Ryan and Hailey had flown to Toulouse for a 2-week hiking honeymoon. Both experienced backpackers, they planned to trek part of the GR10, a legendary trail that runs the spine of the Pyrenees from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean. They posted their progress daily on social media until the third day when updates abruptly stopped. Family assumed poor signal. But when days passed with no check-ins, panic set in. French authorities were contacted, search efforts launched. What followed was one of the most frustrating international cases in recent years. Not because of what was found, but because of what wasn't. No bodies, no footprints, no tents, no GPS trail, just a drone and a single 4-minute clip that's haunted investigators, family, and digital sleuths ever since. Online forums have picked apart each frame. Reddit threads propose everything from digital glitching to intentional staging. Some think the footage was edited. Others believe it's real and reveals something no one was supposed to see. But what would drive a newlywed couple, two careful, organized hikers with no known enemies or secrets, to vanish without a trace in broad daylight? Why does the drone rise straight up in the middle of the hike as if triggered by urgency? And who, or what, was captured in that final second, standing in the fog? This case isn't just about a missing couple. It's about a digital breadcrumb left behind by the missing themselves. A clue so strange and out of place, it's forced even the most skeptical minds to reconsider what really happened that week in the Pyrenees. Before we continue, I'd love to know, where are you watching from, and what's the strangest place you've ever explored? I would also be delighted if you subscribe to my channel. Ryan Whitaker was the kind of person who scheduled his life down to the minute, but not in a rigid way. More like a quiet discipline, something he'd developed after years working in software QA for a Denver-based logistics company. Friends used to joke that Ryan couldn't go camping without version controlling his packing list. He'd smile, adjust his glasses, and say, "Order is peace." It wasn't a joke to him. It was how he kept chaos at bay. He grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, the only child of 2 public school teachers. Early on, he showed a fascination with systems, puzzles, flowcharts, old computers, anything with structure. In high school, he joined the hiking club, then volunteered for the local trail maintenance crew. After college, his idea of fun wasn't a crowded bar, but a weekend spent refining GPS tracks or hiking solo through state parks with a GoPro on his chest. He was careful, methodical, and quiet, but not cold. He had a dry sense of humor and a soft spot for dogs. When his childhood beagle died in 2019, he took a week off work, drove to the mountains, and didn't speak to anyone until he came back. Hailey Monroe was the opposite. Loud, spontaneous, a professional event planner who made her living by thriving in chaos. She'd worked weddings, fundraisers, ski lodge retreats, even a bachelorette party on a train through Montana. Raised in Greeley, Colorado, she was the youngest of 4 sisters and the first in her family to travel abroad. She had an Instagram presence that blended work and life, bursts of color, mountain lakes, quirky packing videos, and the occasional behind-the-scenes meltdown. "This job is controlled panic," she once captioned a reel of herself taping down a runaway tablecloth during a windstorm. "And I love it." Their worlds collided at a friend's engagement party in Estes Park. Ryan was there to help troubleshoot audio equipment. Hailey was coordinating the entire event. They spoke once about outlet placement. 2 months later, he showed up in her DMs with a link to a solar-powered charger she'd mentioned needing. They met for coffee, then again and again. By the 5th date, she was leaving sticky notes in his apartment reminding him to stop sorting the trail mix by protein content. What drew them together was a shared love of movement. Hailey had backpacked New Zealand, road-tripped the US, and led 3 charity hikes in Utah. Ryan had a deep knowledge of gear, maps, safety. Where she pushed the pace, he steadied the rhythm. They hiked the Flatirons, the Maroon Bells, Zion's Narrows. Their Instagram stories, hers vibrant, his minimal, began sinking into a shared feed. At Whitaker Walks. It was more than a hobby. It became a running journal of their lives together. Sunrise shots, GPS elevation graphs, gear reviews, occasional bickering caught on camera, always followed by laughter. They got engaged on a summit near Telluride in September 2022. A small wedding followed the next spring. No frills, just close friends, family, and a hand-fasting ceremony at dusk. Instead of a traditional honeymoon, they planned what they called a joint pilgrimage, 2 weeks in the Pyrenees, hiking, documenting, disconnecting. It was Hailey's idea. She wanted a challenge, something new. Ryan agreed on one condition. No cell service, no texts, just drone footage and daily SD card dumps into his encrypted laptop. "Let's log the journey," he said, properly. Their families supported it. Hailey's older sister Megan helped build their route. Ryan's dad bought them a backup satellite beacon. Everyone knew how experienced they were. If anyone could handle a long-distance trek through foreign terrain, it was them. What no one imagined, not even for a second, was that they'd never return. They left Denver International Airport on June 8, 2023, boarding a direct flight to Paris, then connecting to Toulouse. From there, they took a rental car south to the Ariège department, a rural mountainous region near the border of Spain. Their plan was to hike a 10-day stretch of the GR10, the Grande Randonnée Trail that winds through the French Pyrenees. Not the whole trail, just a rugged segment running from Aulx-les-Bains to Méron-les-Vals. The route threaded through high passes, deep forest, and a handful of remote refuges, scenic but remote. Exactly what they wanted. They'd plotted it out over months. Ryan logged elevation changes down to the meter. Hailey marked potential beauty stops for photos. They packed ultralight gear, a big Agnes tent, MSR stove, backup water filters, rain shells, quick dry layers. Ryan handled navigation and tech, a Garmin InReach Mini 2 for satellite check-ins, a Mavic Air 2 drone for aerial documentation, dual SD backups. Hailey managed camp logistics and trail photography. Both carried laminated route cards, printed in French and English. No detail left to chance. On June 10th, they checked into a small auberge in Aulx-les-Bains. That night, Hailey posted an Instagram story showing their gear laid out on the bed. Boots, bags, snacks. Loaded, nervous. "Let's do this," she wrote, tagging at Whitaker Walks. Her voice in the clip was playful. Ryan's was calm. In a short video, he explained how they'd be off-grid for a bit. "We'll upload once we're near a signal. If not, SD cards don't lie." Their first day, June 11th, took them from Aulx-les-Bains to Gouzet-Neige, about 12 miles with significant elevation. Hailey posted a panoramic shot from the Plateau de Courmayeur. "Feels like we're walking through a painting," she wrote. Ryan uploaded a still of their map track, precise, annotated. The next day brought them to Étang d'Ayes, a glacial lake surrounded by firs and granite. That post, dated June 12th at 6:08 p.m. local time, was their last. From there, the plan was to cross the Col de la Cour, a fog-prone pass known for unpredictable weather, then descend toward Hailey and onward. But no check-ins came on June 13th or June 14th, no signal pings from the Garmin, no Instagram updates. Megan Monroe, Hailey's sister, was the first to notice the silence. At first, she assumed bad reception, but when June 15th passed without a word, the day they were scheduled to reach Seyx and restock, she called their French rental host. No sign of them. Ryan's parents tried to ping the Garmin's emergency channel. Nothing. The device showed no recent transmissions. That same night, they contacted the U.S. Embassy in Paris. Local authorities in Ariège were alerted. A formal search began within 24 hours. Investigators retrieved the couple's rental car parked exactly where it should be, near the trailhead outside Aulx-les-Bains, locked, undisturbed. Inside were the things they didn't take: clean clothes, a paperback, leftover groceries. Nothing suspicious, just the sense of lives paused mid-motion. Search teams studied the route plan. The couple had listed Étang d'Ayes as their last known camp. From there, they were supposed to take Trail 184 to the Col de la Cour, then Trail 35 toward Hailey. But no one saw them enter Hailey, and no one camping near the lake that week recalled meeting a young American couple. 2 days later, French police recovered a trail cam image, time-stamped June 13th, 07:14 a.m., that showed two hikers, one with red gaiters, passing beneath a pine stand near the Col de la Cour. Megan confirmed the gaiters were Hailey's. That gave a partial confirmation. They made it that far. But after that, nothing. Until a week later, when a shepherd in the high pastures noticed something glinting in the branches of a pine about 30 feet off the trail. A drone, half crushed, tangled in bark and wire. He turned it over to gendarmes in Castillon-en-Couserans. Inside was a 64-gigabyte SanDisk card, still functional. When tech analysts loaded the files, they discovered a 4-minute clip that didn't match any of the others. It begins with static, then mist, then motion, and 1 second, just one, of something else. What made the couple launch the drone mid-hike remains unknown. Why they never sent another message is a question with even fewer answers. The first true sign that something was wrong didn't come from technology. It came from silence, the kind that slowly shifts from annoying to unbearable. By the morning of June 15th, Hailey's family had gone from mildly concerned to actively alarmed. She was the kind of person who posted about mosquito bites, trail snacks, sunburns. Going dark wasn't her style. And Ryan, ever the meticulous planner, had programmed daily check-ins through the Garmin InReach. None had come through since June 12th. At first, family rationalized. Maybe poor satellite alignment. Maybe trees blocked the signal. Maybe the fog, common near the Col de la Cour, was interfering with transmission. But that didn't explain why neither of them responded to queued messages. Megan sent 5. Ryan's mother sent 2. Each remained unread. On June 16th, after 2 more days of silence, Megan contacted the lodge in Aulx-les-Bains. The couple's car was still parked exactly where they'd left it. Their room key had been returned, no personal items left behind. Nothing looked amiss, but by now, they were at least 3 days overdue for contact. That same afternoon, the Whitakers reported them officially missing through the U.S. Embassy in Paris. French authorities opened an investigation and activated the PGHM, the Peloton de Gendarmerie de Haute Montagne, a high mountain rescue unit trained for alpine operations. Within 24 hours, 2 search teams and a canine unit were deployed along the GR10 corridor. Initial sweeps focused on the section from Étang d'Ayes to the Col de la Cour, approximately 13 kilometers of mixed forest and exposed ridge. Drones were launched to cover steep slopes. Rangers interviewed hikers at nearby bivouac sites. No one recalled seeing an American couple fitting their description. The Garmin, when pinged remotely, gave no current GPS return. It hadn't transmitted since June 12th. Authorities confirmed the device had not activated its SOS function. That suggested either a technical failure or that neither Ryan nor Hailey had managed to press it. The search expanded rapidly. By June 18th, 5 separate zones had been flagged for deeper inspection. Helicopters scanned ravines. Infrared cameras swept through dense tree cover. But the weather turned. Rain, fog, sudden drops in visibility, delaying air support for nearly 48 hours. Ground teams pushed forward despite worsening trail conditions. Then came the first tangible discovery: a crumpled snack wrapper caught against a rock outcrop near Trail 184. A French officer noted it was a U.S. brand not sold locally. DNA later confirmed it had traces of Hailey's saliva, but the surrounding area yielded nothing. No gear, no clothing, no prints in the soft mud. The search was complicated by the terrain's deceptive simplicity. What looked like a clear path often fractured into goat trails or dried stream beds. Ryan and Hailey's intended route passed through multiple switchbacks with minimal signage. Trail markers were spaced far apart. Fog came fast. Distances felt longer than the map suggested. On June 20th, Ryan's employer released a statement confirming he was on approved leave, with no known work obligations. Hailey's clients posted tributes, sharing photos from past events she'd coordinated. The mood shifted. No longer a delay. This was now a disappearance. The drone was found June 21st. A shepherd named Luc Artaud noticed the metallic glint while moving sheep through a lower pine section near the corn. He climbed the tree and pulled it free, not knowing its significance. The gendarmes recognized the make immediately: a Mavic Air 2. Matching serial number to Ryan's purchase, they confirmed it belonged to the Whitakers. What disturbed investigators wasn't the drone itself, but the fact that it had not crashed randomly. The final footage showed the device lifting steadily, rotating slowly through the fog. It climbed, hovered, shifted east, then jolted sharply upward as if trying to clear the treetops. A thin figure appeared in the distance, then static, then black. Despite enhancements, no one could conclusively identify the figure. It didn't match Ryan or Hailey's silhouettes. The figure stood still, almost too still, facial features obscured. Its proportions were described as unusual, narrow, elongated, possibly distorted by lens compression or fog. Yet the final second left an imprint too clear to dismiss. Investigators were careful with what they released to the families, but the video was reviewed by digital analysts and photogrammetry specialists. No one could determine if the figure was human, a trick of the light, or something else entirely. The timeline now looked like this: June 12th, 6:08 p.m. Last confirmed photo post from Etang Dais. June 13th, 7:14 a.m. Trail cam captures red gator hiker near Col de la Cour. Estimated June 13th, 9:30 a.m. Drone launched near Pine Ridge. June 15th, families report lack of contact. June 16th, investigation formally begins. June 21st, drone recovered, footage analyzed. After that, the digital trail ends, the mystery deepens, and the search for answers moves into territory no one expected, both on the ground and within the fragile evidence left behind in the sky. The search for Ryan and Hailey Whitaker quickly became one of the most expansive missing persons efforts in southern France in over a decade. Over the course of 3 weeks, it involved more than 60 personnel, 4 drones, 2 helicopters, 3 canine teams, and a rotating crew of volunteers. But what made the investigation so difficult wasn't just the vastness of the terrain, it was how utterly blank it seemed. After the drone was recovered on June 21st, the PGHM rerouted their resources toward the immediate vicinity where it had been found: the lower slope of the Col de la Cour, northeast ridge, roughly 42.8412 degrees N, 1.0947 degrees E. According to metadata extracted from the SD card, The drone launched at 9:27 a.m. on June 13th, stayed airborne for 4 minutes and 12 seconds, and reached a maximum altitude of 41 meters before signal loss. The flight path didn't follow a pre-programmed route. Instead, it showed erratic manual control, climbing, pausing, jerking east, then tilting downward before freezing mid-frame. Technicians found no technical faults. The device's firmware was up to date. Battery was recovered with 43% charge remaining. That left one unsettling possibility. Ryan, or Hailey, launched the drone for a reason, then never retrieved it. Search teams canvassed a 3-kilometer radius from the drone's last GPS ping. But the ground offered nothing. No clothing scraps, no signs of distress, not even footprints, which, in summer soft earth, should have remained. The dogs, trained for live scent and human remains, picked up nothing consistent. One unit briefly indicated near a riverbed, but heavy rainfall earlier that week had likely erased most traces. On June 24th, gendarmes brought in thermal drones. Night flights swept the ridgeline. Shadows appeared, flickered, but turned out to be boulders or heat-retaining shrubs. A second trail cam, placed 1.2 kilometers east of the drone site, was reviewed for potential activity. It had been triggered twice on the morning of June 13th, once at 7:02 a.m., then again at 10:46 a.m. Both videos showed dense fog, nothing else. With physical leads dwindling, investigators shifted focus to the drone footage. A forensic analyst with the Gendarmerie Cybercrime Unit slowed the final frames to 1/8 speed. The figure visible at the 354 mark was enhanced using AI-based image clarification. It showed a person, or something shaped like a person, standing just beyond a tree break. No visible movement. The fog distorted scale. From a photogrammetry standpoint, the figure appeared too narrow across the shoulders, with an oddly reflective patch where the face should be. Multiple analysts offered differing conclusions: backlit rain shell, lens flaring, or, as one stated, a photographic artifact consistent with foreground occlusion. But none of those explanations matched what viewers reported feeling: a visceral sense that the figure was watching the drone. Hailey's sister Megan, after reviewing the footage in person, said, "It's like it was waiting. That's the only way I can describe it, waiting for something to happen." Ryan's parents were more reserved. His mother declined to comment. His father, during a call with French authorities, asked only one question: did he try to run? Authorities weren't sure. The path data from the drone included a slight eastward drift, then a sharp yaw rotation. Analysts believe the drone may have been pulled off course by sudden wind or controlled by a panicked operator. But that raised another question. If they were in danger, why not activate the satellite beacon? Investigators examined the Garmin inReach account. The last successful ping occurred June 12th at 5:41 p.m. near the Etang Dae. After that, the device showed no activity, no SOS, no tracking intervals, no messages queued. Ryan had configured it to send position data every 30 minutes. The transmission failure, despite good weather and terrain, made no sense. Theories emerged. 1. The device was damaged, dropped, or submerged. 2. The couple never made it past the ridge. 3. Someone took the device, but in each case, the absence of any supporting evidence, no broken plastic, no strap, no sign of a struggle, made the mystery feel bigger, not smaller. The French Gendarmerie enlisted the help of their Spanish counterparts. Units across the border in Catalonia searched high mountain passes in case the couple had crossed unintentionally. But their names did not appear on any border logs, refuge check-ins, or camera feeds. Ryan's credit card showed no activity. Hailey's phone never pinged a tower after June 12th. It was as if they had stepped off the trail and simply dissolved. Megan hired a private investigator, Lucy Parmentier, a former journalist turned search consultant. Fluent in English, she focused on alternate trails, hidden paths, informal routes known only to locals or shepherds. One of her findings stood out: A rarely used path east of the Col de la Cour led toward a forgotten hunter's outpost built in the 1960s. Locals called it Le Balcon, the balcony, for its cliffside view. Parmentier visited the site and found signs it had been entered recently. Dust patterns disturbed, a cracked plastic bottle. No hard evidence, but enough to make her wonder if someone had been sheltering there around June 13th. Authorities investigated but found no link to the couple. Then came a more chilling lead. A hiker posted on an online forum for Pyrenees enthusiasts, claiming they had seen a drone circling erratically above the Col de la Cour around 9:30 a.m. on June 13th. The post was dated weeks later, but the timing and location matched. The hiker said they saw no one nearby, no sound, just the faint buzz drifting in and out of the fog. When contacted, the witness, a Belgian solo traveler named Olivier Lormont, provided GPS logs confirming he had passed within a kilometer of the location that morning. But he never saw the drone crash. He never saw anyone on the ground. French police followed up with a psychological profile of the couple. Nothing indicated mental health concerns, suicidal ideation, or erratic behavior. Ryan was cautious to a fault. Hailey, according to friends, would never wander off trail alone. They didn't drink. They didn't take risks. They had a return itinerary and backups for their backups. By the second week of July, the active search was scaled down. The case was officially reclassified as a disparition inquiétante, a suspicious disappearance. It remained open but dormant. Flyers were posted at trailheads. A subreddit dedicated to the case began collecting theories. People analyzed cloud formations, compared tree growth, speculated about cults, caves, radiation pockets, even time lapses. But none of it brought answers. What investigators were left with was deeply unsettling. 2 missing people, a drone video that defied clear interpretation, and an entire region of wilderness that refused to yield a single definitive clue. Still, theories formed. Some grounded in fact, others far stranger. Theories began to emerge as soon as the drone footage was released to the family. And like most viral mysteries, speculation filled the vacuum left by the absence of clear facts. But as the footage spread, first among search volunteers, then online communities, 2 dominant theories began to take hold. One was rooted in natural causes, the other in human intent. Theory 1, environmental disorientation and accidental death. The first and most widely supported theory among French investigators is that Ryan and Hailey became disoriented in thick fog, veered off trail, and suffered a fatal accident. The Col de la Cour is known for sudden weather shifts. Visibility can drop from clear to zero in under 10 minutes. Hikers have reported confusion even while standing on familiar ground. In that environment, a misplaced step could send someone tumbling down a ravine or into forest too dense for thermal imaging to penetrate. Experts point to the timeline. The trail cam photo at 7:14 a.m. on June 13th showed them ascending together. The drone launched around 9:27 a.m. during a window of moderate fog. The erratic drone path combined with the sudden climb suggests it may have been deployed to locate the trail visually, possibly after they lost their bearings. Ryan had used similar techniques in Colorado, once navigating back to a trailhead by watching live drone footage overhead. If the fog thickened faster than expected, he may have attempted the same tactic. That would also explain the manual flight path and why the drone was never recovered. Hailey, according to her sister, had poor depth perception in low contrast. Ryan's glasses had a known issue with fogging and humidity. If one of them slipped, the other might have followed or tried to help. A fall, an injury, and the silence that followed. But this theory has major gaps. No gear has ever been recovered, no shredded pack fabric, no broken trekking poles. Even in steep terrain, some trace, an item, a signal ping, a scent would be expected. Dogs trained to detect remains found nothing, and the Garmin InReach Mini, rugged and waterproof, should have survived even a minor fall. Its total radio silence remains one of the case's most confounding technical anomalies. The second theory, more controversial but not dismissed, is that Ryan and Hailey encountered someone on the trail who either harmed them or forced their disappearance. This could have happened near the ridgeline or in the hours after their last verified trail cam image. The mysterious figure in the drone footage fuels this hypothesis. Several factors give this theory weight. First, the region is sparsely patrolled. The GR-10 crosses both tourist-friendly villages and isolated wilderness. Law enforcement admits that smugglers and undocumented travelers use lesser-known paths to move between France and Spain. Most pass without incident, but some areas, especially near old refuges, are known for illicit camps. Then there's the detail of the drone launch. If they had sensed danger, it's plausible Ryan sent the drone up to scout ahead or document their surroundings. The figure in the footage could represent a person they'd tried to avoid, or someone they didn't expect to see. Analysts confirmed that Ryan's drone was configured to store all footage locally. But if someone knew they'd been filmed, they might have searched for the drone and missed it when it landed high in the tree. Supporters of this theory point to the bottle found at the remote hunter's outpost. French authorities logged it, but found no fingerprints or DNA. Still, its presence days after the disappearance raised questions. Could someone have been living in the area unknown to search crews? Critics of this theory argue there's no evidence of a struggle. The couple was not carrying valuables, and no known threats existed. Ryan had no disputes. Hailey had no known stalkers. They traveled light, avoided attention, and followed a known route. To believe foul play, one must assume a chance encounter with a stranger capable of erasing two adults and all their belongings without a single trace. Beyond these two theories lie fragments that don't fit neatly anywhere. The GPS anomaly, a drift in the drone's metadata that suggests a momentary location jump. Analysts chalk it up to satellite interference. Others aren't so sure. The unidentifiable figure, possibly distorted by moisture or lens warp, has never been conclusively explained. And then there's the simple, inescapable fact that neither body has ever been found. No confirmed possessions, no bone fragments, no signal. French investigators continue to pursue the environmental theory as the most likely. But internally, documents admit that the case has several points of irregularity. It remains open. It remains fragile. The families, meanwhile, have come to different conclusions. Hailey's sister believes in the second theory. Ryan's father does not. If someone had done something, he said in a rare interview, they would have taken the drone too. That, perhaps, is the most enduring question. Why leave the drone? Unless it was never found, or wasn't meant to be. It took almost 7 months for anything new to surface. The official investigation had quieted by then, scaled back to periodic reviews and data sweeps. No new evidence, no credible sightings. Most people assumed the case would remain frozen, another entry in the growing list of disappearances along Europe's wild trails. But in late January 2024, during routine storm damage cleanup, a forestry crew clearing a washed-out section of trail near Lac de Bethmel, 8.3 kilometers west of the Col de la Cour, discovered a strange pile of gear wedged in a narrow crevice. It was buried under wet leaves, partially waterlogged and not visible from the trail. At first, they thought it was trash. Then they saw the backpack straps. Inside were 2 packs. One blue Osprey, one black Gregory. Brands confirmed to be Ryan and Hailey's. Both had been registered with serial numbers during the original investigation. The gear was in worse condition than expected, molded, water damaged, with zippers swollen shut. But certain things had survived. A titanium camping spoon, a crushed packet of powdered drink mix, a photo card of the couple taken during their wedding, folded and tucked into the side pocket of Hailey's pack. Also inside were their passports, dry, inside a Ziploc bag, no clothing, no GPS, no phones, no food. French authorities reopened the case immediately, deploying forensic teams to the site. The packs had been hidden intentionally. That was clear. The crevice wasn't visible from the trail, and accessing it required ducking under a fallen log and stepping through knee-high brambles. It wasn't a place someone would stumble upon or use casually. Investigators concluded that the gear had been placed, not dropped. But when and by whom remained unclear. The surrounding area was combed. No footprints, no fire rings, no signs of prolonged shelter, just the packs, dry inside despite weeks of rain, and the narrow alcove where they'd rested. The most chilling detail came 2 weeks later, after a full digital forensic scan of the recovered SD card from Hailey's backup camera. Only one file was salvageable, an image dated June 13, 2023, timestamped 9:22 a.m. It was taken from ground level, looking up at trees blurred by fog. The angle was off, tilted, not deliberate. Hailey wasn't in frame. Ryan wasn't either. In the lower right corner was part of a hiking pole, snapped. The camera model, a waterproof Olympus Tough, had internal timestamp correction. Analysts confirmed it hadn't been tampered with. If that photo was genuine, it was taken 5 minutes before the drone was launched. This meant someone had dropped or placed the camera right before deploying the drone, or the two separate events were unfolding simultaneously. Either way, the timeline fractured. Why would Ryan or Hailey take a photo from that angle? Why leave their gear behind days or weeks from the intended route? And why carry their passports into terrain they were never supposed to enter? The recovery site's location posed its own mystery. The couple had never mentioned Bethmail. It wasn't on their route map, and to reach it from the Col de la Cour required either a dangerous cross-country scramble or the use of an unmarked, undocumented trail, the kind only locals would know. When asked why they hadn't searched the crevice earlier, the PGHM admitted it wasn't considered high-risk terrain. Too far west, one officer said. They weren't supposed to be there. The discovery reignited online theories. Some argued the couple had tried to escape something. Others believed they'd been led off trail. More ominously, some claimed the placement of the gear, clean, concealed, without wear from exposure, suggested someone had kept it elsewhere, then deposited it after attention had faded. The packs were tested for DNA. Only trace results of Ryan and Hailey were recovered. No third-party signatures, no hairs, no blood, no sweat markers. Hailey's sister Megan viewed the recovered contents in person. "It was hers," she said, holding the photo card. "But someone else touched it. I can't explain how I know. I just do." As of March 2024, French officials acknowledged the gear discovery publicly, but refrained from drawing conclusions. The case remains active, with efforts focused on mapping possible unmarked routes connecting the Col to Bethmail. So far, none have been confirmed. No further evidence has been recovered. No bodies, no gear fragments, no new sightings. Just the packs. A broken pole, a tilted image, and a timeline that now folds in on itself. Tighter, darker, stranger. As of December 2025, Ryan and Hailey Whitaker remain officially missing. Their disappearance is still classified under French law as a disparition inquiétante, meaning a worrying or suspicious disappearance. It is neither closed nor formally escalated to a criminal case, a bureaucratic limbo that leaves both families without answers, but also without closure. The most recent update came in August 2025 when Ariège authorities confirmed they had completed another sweep of the Bethmail region. No additional evidence was found, no footprints, no new witnesses. The trail, again, went cold. In the US, Ryan and Hailey's families have taken different approaches to the aftermath. Ryan's parents, Tom and Elaine Whitaker, maintain a private stance. They've turned down most interviews, but continue to fund a private server where digital sleuths can upload GPS overlays and metadata analyses from the drone footage. "We believe in signal over noise," Tom once wrote in a rare public message. "Facts, not fiction." Hailey's sister Megan has become more publicly involved. She's active in online forums, shares case updates on social media, and collaborates with European hikers who volunteer to search unofficial trails. She co-founded a digital platform called Trail Trace, which cross-references missing hiker reports with satellite imagery, user-submitted drone footage, and thermal data archives. The platform now has over 12,000 users. Both families continue to receive messages, some heartfelt, some unhinged. A few claim to have seen the couple near Andorra. Others send altered screenshots from the drone footage. Megan deletes most, but saves the ones that ask the right kind of questions. "I don't need people to believe they're alive," she said in a recent podcast interview. "I just need people to remember they were real." The case has inspired petitions, over 20,000 signatures to date, calling for broader cooperation between U.S. and French authorities on transnational missing persons cases. A proposed bill, the International Search Notification Act, was introduced in the U.S. Congress in early 2025 but remains stalled. Meanwhile, online forums continue dissecting the evidence. Users upload 3D terrain maps, speculate about unrecorded footpaths, cross-analyze cloud movement from the drone clip. Every few months, the figure in the fog is revisited, reinterpreted, reconstructed, but nothing sticks, nothing new surfaces. Hailey's Instagram remains online, a digital freeze frame of optimism. The last post, a photo of her and Ryan on a ridge, faces red from sun and wind squinting into distance. The caption reads, "If we get lost, don't come find us, just come hike with us." No one knows what happened after that. What remains is a silence with too many meanings. Ryan and Hailey Whitaker weren't reckless. They weren't naive. They planned, they trained, they documented, and still, they vanished. What's left behind is a single drone clip, 4 minutes of clouded footage, and a fragment of a moment no one can quite explain. A figure in fog, a signal that ends mid-air, a journey with no final waypoint. People talk about how nature reclaims what it wants, about how the mountains hold secrets, but this isn't erosion or time wearing things down. It's sharper than that, cleaner, more deliberate, as if someone or something knew exactly what to remove and exactly what to leave behind. The recovered gear gave more questions than answers. Why were the backpacks intact and dry? Why were their passports still zipped inside, but none of their clothing or electronics? Why hide it in a place they never planned to go? Some say they got lost, that they panicked and made a fatal detour, but nothing about their history suggests that kind of mistake. Others believe they were watched, followed, or lured off the trail, that the drone was a last attempt to record something no one would otherwise believe. And then there's the image on Hailey's backup camera, the broken pole, the tilted ski. A photo taken just minutes before the drone launched. It's not proof of anything, but it feels like the start of something no one ever finished explaining. What this case reveals isn't just about trails and forests and fog. It's about how thin the line is between presence and absence, between someone being real and someone being gone, between waving goodbye and never hearing from them again. So now we ask you, if you found a drone stuck in a tree, footage intact, showing the final perspective of someone who vanished, what would you believe? A camera glitch? A lost trail? Or a warning left behind by someone who knew they were about to disappear? What do you think happened to Ryan and Hailey Whitaker?